Do you ever look around and think, wow, the world is a crazy place, and it just seems to get crazier and crazier? Ease your mind and take a break. This is Fuel for the Soul with John Giftah. We're a hub for inspirational Christian sermons, practical keys for Christian living, and Christian discussions and interviews. You'll be inspired to live the life that you were created for. Your host is a top-ranking podcaster, best-selling author, world record holder, aerospace engineer, life coach, evangelist, and founder of John Giftah International. Welcome to Fuel for the Soul with John Giftah.
As we've been talking about the aspect of discovering our God-given gifts and talents, today I'm going to talk about, the next aspect about this, to understand what are different ways you can discover your gifts, because we've been talking about the basic fundamental things that you need to know about your gifts and using your gifts and all of that stuff. There are a couple of things that have to come after we discover our gifts that I'm going to talk about that also. But today, in the aspect of how to discover our gifts, today I'm going to talk about one key on how you can discover your gifts. It is to take some time out, okay, and just look back over your shoulders and see what was it that you used to do when you were young. What was it that you did when nobody forced you to do it? It was not something that was like, okay, fine, you know what, your parents enrolled you for a music class, so you went for music. Is that the case? Was it an external thing, or was it something, that you just did on your own when nobody forced you to do it? When you were young, right? Maybe there was something that you just loved doing. You just naturally had that ability to do something, that you were drawn to do something, and you were doing that. Okay, this is not something you can answer in just, okay, fine, you know what, I listened to the sermon, I just know the answer. It's not going to happen that way. You need to come to a place where you put aside everything. Be serious about this, guys. Be serious about this. To discover your gifts and to start walking in the direction that God has for you, you have to be serious. You have to put in your effort. And just listening to the podcast is not going to help you do it. You have to take some time out where I'm going to ask you to do this. Take a piece of paper or whatever you can and just think what you used to do when you were young. Now, when I talk about the time when you're young, there are different things, and I'm going to talk about different things in different segments. But what was it that naturally came to you? What was it that nobody had to put a gun on your head to make you do it, right? When I say, for example, that I love writing, for example, right? I've authored books and all of that stuff. I have manuscripts of stories that I wrote when I was in the second grade with Christian morals and things like that, with whatever I knew, based on what I knew at that time, I wrote. Nobody forced me to do it. It just came naturally. I just had the inspiration. I just had the desire. I just did it anyway. I didn't look for any validation. I didn't, do it to impress anybody. I just did it because I just loved doing it. That is what I used to do when I was young. And my gift is connected to what I used to do when I was young. See, many times when we start, okay, this is what happens. We start with that place where, you know what, I'm good in this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But then as life comes along the way, we forget all of that. We think like, okay, you know what, forget about all that. That's how the world system is portraying, right? Forget about all of that. Just live a normal, mediocre life. So what happens is, what you used to do when you were young, you forget all of that and you focus only on how much you perform in maths or science or all those, top end subjects. And that's why people are missing out. If you're gifted in science, if you're gifted in maths, good for you. But if you're not gifted, maybe that's not your area. That's not your calling. That's not your gift. The whole system has put in such a way that, everybody's IQ or the level of genius or whatever you call it, how intelligent a person is based on how much they get on science or maths and all those subjects. But you know what? That's not how the way God created a person. That's not how it is. You may be getting 0 in maths. It's totally like, maybe that's not your gift at all. Maybe your gift is in arts. Maybe your gift is in music, sports, or anything for that matter. So you have to understand, what was it that you will, inclined to do when you were young. Take some time out. When nobody forced you to do, what were the things you were interested in? Like I said, in my case, I would just sit and write. I used to make illustrations and make out moral stories, and then later on I used to practice speaking and daydreaming, like I'm preaching in front of huge crowds. And I used to, all the different things that I do right now is what I used to do when I was young. And those things are a reflection of what I'm doing. See, in the scripture, you see Joseph, as a little boy, he was receiving dreams from God. He was interpreting dreams. And you see, his ultimate destiny was connected to interpreting dreams. Whether it was the dream of the cupbearer or the pharaoh that changed the course of his life, everything was connected to those interpreting dreams. And where did it begin? It was something he was doing ever since he was young. Samuel was a boy like that. Ever since he was young, he was hearing the voice of God. And eventually, what happened? He became a prophet to the nations. David, as a young boy, was taking care of the sheep, working on the slingshot, protecting the sheep from the lion and the bear. That is what he did as a young boy. And eventually, when he was taking care of the sheep of God, the people of God, protecting them from the enemies, like the Philistines or the different enemies that came along. So what you have to understand is what you do when you were young. What was it? Nobody forced David to, protect the sheep in a way that he would, risk his life in saving them from the lion and the bear. If he said, a lion came and ate, nobody's going to force it upon him. They can't say anything because it's like, okay, fine, I can't do anything. But he went and did it anyway. Nobody forced him to do it. Nobody was there around. He was just taking care of the sheep. He had all the reasons and excuses to say, the lion came and ate the sheep. What can I do? But he didn't do that. Right? That is what I meant. When you're young, what was it that you could do even when you had the excuse not to do it? What was it that you would do even when all the reason on earth would say you didn't have to do it, but you still did it anyway? Like I said, I didn't have any reason to sit and write. I didn't have any reason to sit and, practice my speaking, but I did it anyway. So take some time out and see. Maybe, okay, you're saying, okay, John, I was just sitting and watching TV. Okay, fine. Maybe what kind of TV shows were you drawn to watch, and what can you learn from it? What did you learn from it? How did it change your life, and how can you use that? Okay, everything you can just introspect and see. There is something you can learn. Maybe you if you actually wasted your time, you can learn in the reverse. Maybe you're like, okay, when I was young I wasted my time, so I don't want to do that again, right? So like that, first step today for you guys in this series of how to discover your gift, the first and foremost thing is, what did you do when you were young, or what were you inclined to do when you were young, when nobody forced you to do it? Okay, I want you to do this, and I will see you in the next episode where I'm going to talk about another aspect, because a couple of things are tied up along the aspect of the things that happen when you are young. So we're going to talk about it step by step in each episode. So, and I will see you back very soon. Would love to hear from you guys. It would really be great if you could connect with me through Instagram. I'm trying to grow my following on social media, Instagram and or even on YouTube as well. So if you can do that, it will be really, really helpful for me as well. So thank you so much, and I'll see you back very soon. Bye.
You've been listening to Fuel for the Soul with John Giftah. We hope you were blessed and inspired to live the life that God has for you. Make sure to subscribe to the John Giftah YouTube channel for regular uploads of sermons, skits, interviews, and more. Follow John Giftah on Instagram for regular inspirational posts. And don't forget to check out the best-selling books written by John Giftah, Who Am I?, which will help you understand your identity, and the latest #1 bestseller, Unveil Your Purpose, helping you discover your purpose and to start walking in it. Make sure to leave a rating and review, and be sure to share it with your friends and loved ones. If you'd like to donate, you can find the PayPal link in the description. And if you'd like to invite John Giftah to speak at your event or to get more details, go to the website at www.johngiftah.com. See you on the next episode of The Fuel for the Soul with John Giftah. God bless you.
If your heart stops beating now, do you know where you're going? If you came face to face with death now, do you know where you're going? And this is not a message of condemnation. This is a message of hope. There is a God who loves you so much. He sent His only Son, Jesus Christ, to come down and pay a heavy price by shedding every drop of His blood on the cross. Thank you for dying for my sins. When you believe in Him, you have free gift of salvation for you that assures us that we will go to heaven when we die instead of suffering in hell forever. I just encourage you today to make the simple step of faith and say, Jesus, I thank you for what you did on the cross. Thank you for giving me this gift of eternal life.